Hey there, it's me, Clyde. I'm really glad you're here. Before you get too cozy, go ahead and tap like and subscribe right now so you don't have to think about it later when you're already drifting off. And if you want more of these very calm, very uneventful little travels, I've got a whole playlist of my boring adventures. You can just let them play, one after another, like a soft, sleepy train that never really needs to arrive anywhere. Also, if you become a channel member, you're helping support the channel, and you can get a personalized sleepy story from me. A custom boring adventure made just for you, the kind that gently wanders and forgets what it was saying and then remembers again, much later. All right, settle in. I'm on a train somewhere in Siberia tonight. I meant to count the trees. I truly did. But I've already lost track. And honestly, that's probably for the best. Because counting trees sounds like a job, and I'm not here to work. I'm here to listen to the quiet things, the slow things, the tiny sounds that barely qualify as sounds. The train does this steady, patient rocking, like it's trying to soothe its own thoughts. There's a hush inside the carriage that feels padded, like someone hung heavy curtains over the whole world. And outside the window, the landscape slides by in long, dark strokes. Pines, snow, more pines, the occasional gap where the forest opens up and you can see a flat stretch of white, like the earth is holding its breath. I can feel the cold just by looking at it, but in here, it's warmer. Not warm like summer, warm like a coat that's been worn for years, a warmth that's learned how to behave. Somewhere down the corridor, a door clicks softly. Someone is moving very carefully, as if the train itself might wake up if they don't tiptoe. I'm sitting by the window, not because I'm trying to be dramatic, but because the window is the best place to rest your mind. It gives your thoughts somewhere to go, and if your thoughts wander off into the Siberian wilderness, well, good luck to them. They can send a postcard. I'm in a little compartment that smells faintly like old wood, wool, and the ghost of tea. That's a real scent combination on trains, by the way. Tea doesn't just disappear. It becomes part of the furniture. It settles into the corners like a polite house guest who never quite leaves. The bench seat has that slightly scratchy fabric that trains love, durable enough to survive 100 winters and 1,000 naps. The window beside me is rimmed with frost, not fully iced over, just decorated, like winter took the time to doodle. Every so often, the glass trembles with a soft rattle, and the frost crystals sparkle for half a second, and then go back to looking serious. I keep my hands folded in my lap, mostly because they don't know what else to do. If you put your hands on a cold window, they immediately regret it. If you put them in your pockets, they go missing. So the lap is a safe middle ground. There's a strap across my chest, the familiar weight of my bag at my side, and my pocket watch hangs where it always hangs. I don't even need to look at it to know it's there. It's funny how your body can memorize objects. If I lose my balance for even a second, my fingers automatically reach for the same places. The strap, the edge of the seat, the little handle near the window. The train makes that steady sound, a comforting rhythm. Clack, hush, clack, hush. It's not the loud, impatient kind of train. It's the kind that accepts time. And Siberia is very good at time. Outside, the trees pass by in an endless line, like they're participating in a quiet parade. Tall pines mostly, dark and upright, with snow perched on their branches like powdered sugar that never melts. I try to count them again. I start with 1, then 2, then 3. Then I get distracted because one of the trees looks slightly crooked, like it's leaning in to tell the forest a secret, And then another tree shows up, perfectly straight. And I think, well, that one looks like it's judging the crooked one. And then I realize I've stopped counting again. So far, my official tree count is some, and honestly, that's accurate. Some trees, a lot of snow, and a sky that looks like it can't decide if it wants to be night yet. There's a soft, warm glow in the carriage from a lamp further down, and it makes the shadows stretch gently across the walls. The light doesn't flicker dramatically, it just rests there, like it's also tired. A few seats away, there's a passenger sitting very still. I can't see them clearly, just a shape. A person bundled in layers that make them look like a traveling blanket. Every once in a while, they shift, and you hear fabric whisper against fabric. That sound alone could put someone to sleep. I like trains for this reason. Nobody expects you to be interesting. On a train, you're allowed to be quiet. You're allowed to stare at the same view for an hour and call it a hobby. You're allowed to do absolutely nothing and still feel like you're going somewhere. And going somewhere is important, even if you're half asleep the whole time. Now, I should say, Siberia has a reputation. People hear Siberia and they imagine dramatic things. Blizzards, wolves, heroic survival stories, stern-faced explorers. Maybe someone chopping wood with unnecessary intensity. But a lot of Siberia is just wide, very wide. Quietly wide. The kind of wide that makes your thoughts feel small, in a friendly way. Like your worries are little pebbles and the landscape is an entire ocean of snow. Historically, this part of the world has seen so many movements of people. Traders, soldiers, railway workers, families relocating, exiles, travelers chasing jobs and promises and fresh starts. And the railway itself, it changed everything. It stitched vast distances together with iron and timber and schedules that were probably optimistic. You can almost feel that history in the bones of the ride. Not in a spooky way, in a steady way, like this path has been used. This motion has happened before. Millions of people have sat and watched these same trees pass, and they've all eventually lost count too. It makes me feel oddly normal, which is rare for me. I'm listening to the little sounds around me. A faint metallic jingle when the train shifts. A quiet creak of the seat. The soft rasp of someone breathing through a scarf. And in between those, the biggest sound of all, nothing. A calm nothing. A big, comfortable pause. I let my eyes rest on the window, on the frost patterns. They look like tiny maps, branching lines, little frozen rivers that go nowhere. I imagine them as a miniature Siberia, right there on the glass. A whole tiny world that's cold and beautiful and not asking anything from me. My head tilts slightly toward the window, but I don't press it there yet. I'm still pretending I'm awake. I don't know who I'm performing for. The trees, maybe. I blink slowly, and my mind wanders like it always does. I start thinking about how train snacks are never quite right. Have you noticed that? Even when the snack is normal, it feels different on a train. Bread tastes more serious. Tea tastes like a memory. And anything wrapped in paper instantly becomes important. I once had a boiled egg on a train that felt like it came with a moral lesson. I don't know what the lesson was. Something about patience. Or salt. Right now, I don't have an egg. I have the idea of an egg, which is somehow even sleepier. The compartment sways again, a gentle shift like the train is adjusting its shoulders. My eyelids get heavier, and just as I'm about to fully drift, I notice something outside, a brief flicker of light in the distance, far beyond the trees. Not close enough to be a town, maybe a small station or a signal or a lonely building with one warm window. It's there for a second. Then it's gone, and I realize I've been holding my breath without meaning to. I exhale slowly, and the moment passes, like everything else on this ride. I let my forehead rest lightly against the cool window. It's cold enough to feel real, but not so cold it hurts. Just cold enough to be grounding. The trees keep moving. My thoughts slow down, and somewhere in the back of my mind I decide counting trees is overrated. Letting them blur together into one long, gentle lullaby. That feels right. I take another slow breath, and the train carries me forward. As I start to slip into sleep, one quiet mile at a time. I don't know exactly when the train slows down. It doesn't announce itself. It just eases its pace, like it remembered something important and decided not to rush past it. The rhythm changes first. The clack becomes farther apart. The hush stretches longer. Even the sway feels more thoughtful, like the train is choosing its steps. I lift my head slightly from the window, just enough to notice. Outside, the trees thin out, and the dark forest gives way to a small clearing. A platform slides into view. Narrow, wooden, dusted with snow that hasn't been disturbed much. No big sign, no bright lights, just a single lamp glowing amber against the blue evening. A station, or maybe just a pause in the wilderness. There are a few figures standing out there, bundled so thoroughly they resemble walking coats. Fur hats pulled low, scarves wrapped high. Everyone looks prepared to wait. Siberia teaches patience early. The train sighs as it comes to a stop. A long, metallic breath. I hear boots on wood. A hollow, rhythmic sound as someone walks along the platform. The sound carries easily in the cold air. It's one of those noises that feels older than electricity, older than timetables. A door slides open somewhere down the carriage. Cold air sneaks in, sharp and curious, slipping along the floor like it's checking the place out. It brings with it the smell of snow and smoke and something faintly metallic. I pull my cloak a little closer without really thinking about it, not because I'm cold, just because it feels correct. A voice murmurs outside. I can't make out the words. The language blends into the sound of breath and wool and movement. It doesn't matter what's being said. The tone is calm, practical. Nobody's telling a dramatic story out there. This isn't that kind of stop. Historically, these little stations mattered a great deal. During the expansion of the railways, especially across Siberia, stops like this were lifelines. Supplies, letters, news from places too far away to imagine properly. Sometimes they were the only human dots in hundreds of miles of white. I imagine someone stepping off the train years ago, carrying a suitcase that felt much heavier than it looked, realizing this was it. This was the end of the line for them, or the beginning. Those two tend to get confused out here. The train waits. It's very good at waiting. I notice my fellow passenger a few seats away shift again. They lean forward slightly, peering out the window just to check. Then they relax back into stillness, satisfied. I do the same. Outside, a man in a heavy coat lifts a crate with careful effort. Someone else helps. No rush. Everything moves at the pace of cold hands and stiff fingers. There's a brief clatter, something metal being set down, and then quiet returns, padded and thick. I think about how many people have dozed on this exact stretch of track, how many heads have rested against cold glass, how many thoughts have wandered off and never quite come back. I wonder if the trees notice, if they recognize the train, if they think, oh, it's you again. I almost smile at that. The door slides shut. The cold air retreats, politely disappointed. The train gives a soft jolt, just a reminder that gravity still exists. And then we're moving again, slowly at first. The platform drifts away. The lamp becomes a dot. The dot becomes nothing. And just like that, Siberia closes back in. The forest resumes its quiet watch. I settle back into my seat, letting my shoulders drop. My body feels heavier now, in a good way, like it's decided to trust the ride. The sound returns. Clack, hush, clack, hush. It's steady again. Reassuring. I let my eyes drift shut for a moment. Just a moment, and then images slide in softly. Not dreams yet, just thoughts without sharp edges. I think about how rail travel changed time itself. Before trains, distance was measured in days, weeks, seasons. After trains, time got chopped into schedules and minutes and arrivals. But out here, even with rails and engines, time still stretches. Siberia refuses to be hurried. I like that about it. Somewhere deep in the carriage, something rattles gently. Maybe a loose latch, maybe a teacup remembering it exists. I decide it's a teacup. The warmth inside the train feels deeper now, like it's sunk into the wood. The lamplight pools quietly on the floor. Shadows barely move. I shift just enough to be comfortable. Hands resting again. Familiar weight at my side. Everything where it should be. I open my eyes once more, just to check the window. The trees are back. Of course they are. I consider counting them again. I don't. Instead, I pick one tree and watch it pass. Just one. I let it go without naming it or numbering it. It disappears into the dark, and another takes its place, and then another. That feels like progress. My breathing slows to match the train. In, clack, out, hush, in, clack, out, hush. And as the miles slip by unnoticed, the train carries me onward, through the quiet, through the cold, through a place that knows how to keep secrets, and I drift, a little deeper, into the ride. Once the station disappears behind us, the carriage seems to relax. It's subtle, but I can feel it. The way an old place exhales when visitors leave. The train settles back into itself, like it remembers who it is again once it's alone with the forest. Somewhere down the aisle, a kettle makes a faint, hopeful sound. Not a whistle, just a quiet murmur. The kind of noise that suggests warm water is thinking about becoming important. A few moments later, there's movement. Careful footsteps, the soft thump of something being set down. A cup, maybe two. Someone clears their throat politely, as if apologizing to the silence for interrupting it. I don't turn to look. I don't need to. I already know the tea will be too hot. Train tea is always too hot at first, and then somehow too cold, with very little time in between. It's a narrow window of perfection that almost no one catches. That's part of the charm. The smell reaches me anyway. Black tea. Strong. Familiar. It mixes with the scent of old wood and wool and distant snow. And for a moment, my thoughts wander sideways instead of forward. I think about how tea has followed railways everywhere, how conductors and travelers and station workers all seem to agree that moving long distances required a hot cup of something. Across Siberia, tea wasn't just comfort. It was logistics, warmth, morale, a small defense against the cold that never really leaves. I imagine railway workers decades ago, hands wrapped around chipped cups, steam rising into frozen air, talking quietly about schedules, weather, families they wouldn't see for months. The train rocks gently beneath me, steady again, dependable. I shift just a little, enough to let my spine relax into the seat. The fabric creaks softly, then gives in. I think it approves of naps. Outside, the sky has darkened another shade. Not suddenly, just politely. The forest is still visible, but softer now, like it's being remembered instead of observed. I watch the reflection of the lamp flicker faintly in the glass. The frost patterns have changed slightly, melted in one place, thickened in another. Tiny adjustments responding to breath and heat and time. My eyelids grow heavier, not in a dramatic way, in a practical way. The kind of tired that doesn't demand sleep, just suggests it. I let my mind wander again, unguarded this time. I think about how trains make everyone equal for a while. Titles don't matter much when you're all rocking along the same track, eating the same bread, waiting for the same stops. On a train, everyone is just passing through. That thought feels comforting. I listen to the rhythm again. Clack, hush, clack, hush. It reminds me of breathing, or waves, or someone tapping a finger on a table while thinking very hard about nothing at all. I wonder how many people have fallen asleep to this exact sound, and what they dreamed about. Forests, homes, warm kitchens, or nothing at all, which is sometimes the best dream. The train leans gently into a curve, and my shoulder shifts with it automatically. My body knows how to ride now. It's learned the rules. Somewhere nearby, someone sips tea and makes the quiet mistake of burning their tongue just a little. There's a soft inhale, a pause, a brave silence afterward. I admire that restraint. I almost smile again. My breathing slows without asking permission. In, clack, out. Hush. In, clack, out. Hush. The forest continues its patient watch. The night continues its gradual arrival. And I continue, doing exactly nothing at all, which feels like the most productive thing I've done all day. The train carries me forward, gently, steadily, deeper into the quiet. As the world outside grows softer and my thoughts begin to thin, like steam fading into cold air. At some point, the window stops being a window. I don't notice the exact moment it happens. There's no announcement, no clear line you cross. 1 second I'm watching trees slide past, and the next, I'm mostly watching myself. The glass has turned reflective now, dark enough outside that the inside light takes over. My face appears faintly in the window, layered over the forest like a double exposure. Me and Siberia, sharing the same frame. I look calmer in the reflection than I feel like I should. My eyes are half-lidded. My shoulders are loose. There's a softness there, like I've already decided not to worry about anything new tonight. The pocket watch catches the light occasionally when the train sways, flashing gently and then going quiet again. I don't check it. I rarely do on trains. Time behaves strangely when it's moving this fast and this slow at the same time. Historically, railways changed how people thought about time. Before schedules, towns kept their own clocks. Noon was when the sun said so, but trains demanded agreement, precision, shared minutes across vast distances. Time zones were born out of necessity, out of steel wheels and printed timetables, and yet, here I am, on a train, with all that structure, and time feels loose again. Elastic. The watch ticks softly, but it doesn't feel like it's measuring anything important. It's just keeping itself company. I watch my breath fog the glass for a moment, then fade. A small cloud appears, then disappears, like a reminder that things don't have to last to be real. The train makes a slightly different sound now, a deeper tone under the usual rhythm. Maybe we've picked up speed. Maybe the track has changed. Maybe I'm imagining it. All three feel equally likely. I adjust my position just enough to be comfortable again. There's a particular angle where the seat stops pressing back and starts supporting you. It takes time to find. Experience helps. Across the aisle, the bundled passenger has finally given in. Their head has tilted forward, resting against their chest. Their breathing is slow and even. They look like they've been assembled entirely out of scarves. I wonder where they're going. Then I remember, it doesn't really matter. We're all going forward. That's enough for tonight. The lamplight pools gently on the floor, creating a warm island in the sea of shadow. Dust motes drift lazily through it, tiny travelers of their own. I watch them float and spin, each one unbothered by direction or destination. I think about how many nights like this the railway has seen, how many winters, how many quiet hours when nothing dramatic happened. And that was exactly the point. Those are my favorite kinds of hours. The train hums, the rails answer back, and my reflection in the window slowly softens, blurring at the edges. As my eyes finally decide they don't need to stay open anymore, I let them close, just for a moment. The darkness behind my eyelids feels warm, familiar, like a room I've been in before. Thoughts drift through, half-formed, unfinished, not asking to be followed. I don't chase them. I let them pass, like trees, like stations, like lights in the distance that appear briefly, and then are gone. The train continues on, and I continue with it, balanced gently between waking and sleep, between movement and rest, between now and later, without needing to choose. I wake up just enough to notice that something has changed, not in a dramatic way, in a sideways way. The train is still moving, still humming, still rocking me gently back and forth like it's doing me a favor. But outside the window, the snow has begun to fall, not straight down, but at an angle. Long slanted lines rushing past the glass as if the night itself is in motion. For a moment, I'm not sure if I'm awake or still dreaming. That happens to me sometimes on trains. The boundary gets thin. The snow catches the light from the carriage and flashes silver, then disappears into the dark. Each flake only exists for a fraction of a second, just long enough to be seen, not long enough to be remembered individually. I watch them anyway. My head is still resting near the window, warm breath fogging the glass in slow, lazy bursts. I don't bother sitting up. Whatever needs my attention can come closer if it wants to. The train leans into another curve, slightly more pronounced this time, and the sound changes again. The wheels sing a little, a low, distant tone that vibrates through the floor and up into the seat. It's not loud, just present. That sound has lulled a lot of people to sleep over the years. Railway workers, soldiers, traders, families packed into wooden cars with everything they owned tied up in cloth bundles. Through wars, winters, revolutions, rebuilds, the sound stayed mostly the same. Steel on steel, motion agreeing with itself. I blink slowly, once, twice, and my thoughts drift toward a dream, but don't quite enter it yet. They hover nearby like they're waiting to see if I'm serious about resting. Images begin to form anyway. Not clear ones, soft ones. Snow-covered roofs, a kettle steaming on a stove, a pair of gloves drying near a fire. None of them belong to me exactly, but they don't need to. The bundled passenger across the aisle shifts in their sleep and lets out a long, steady breath. The sound blends with the rhythm of the train until I can't tell where one ends and the other begins. I feel the weight of the journey in a comforting way now. Not heavy, anchoring. As if the distance we've traveled has gently pressed me deeper into the seat. Outside, the forest has faded almost completely. The snow and darkness have smoothed everything into one continuous shape. It's no longer trees and sky and ground. It's just night. I think about how snow changes sound, how it absorbs it, softens it, makes the world quieter without asking permission. Siberian winters are very good at that. They don't erase things, they hush them. The train keeps going, patient, unconcerned. I let my eyes close again, fully this time. Behind my eyelids, the snow continues to fall. Slower now, thicker, like it's padding the inside of my thoughts. A dream tries to start. It doesn't get far. It's something about standing on a platform, waiting for a train, holding something important and not remembering what it is. Very original dream material. I've had variations of it before. The dream pauses, seems to reconsider, then gently steps back. That's fine. Sleep doesn't have to entertain me. It just has to be here. My breathing deepens, sinking again with the motion of the train. In, clack, out, hush. In, clack, out, hush. The snow continues its sideways journey past the window. The train continues its long one across Siberia, and I float quietly between thoughts, between moments, between places, perfectly content to let the night carry on without me noticing every detail. There will be plenty of time for that later. I don't know what time it is when I wake again. That feels important, but also completely unnecessary. The night has settled into its longest stretch, the part where everything agrees to be quiet at once. The lamp still glows, steady and patient, like it's been awake this whole time and doesn't mind at all. The snow outside has eased, not stopped, just slowed. The flakes drift now instead of streaking, floating past the window as if they've run out of urgency. I open my eyes slowly. There's no reason to hurry. The train hums beneath me, deeper than before, like it's found a comfortable rhythm and decided to stay there for a while. The sound is so constant that my body barely notices it anymore. It's less a noise and more a condition. I stretch my fingers just a little, enough to remind them they exist. They respond reluctantly, warm and heavy, then settle again. My shoulders shift, my cloak falls into a better position, and everything feels aligned. This must be the middle of the journey. Not the beginning, not the end. The long, quiet center where nothing needs to happen. Historically, trains like this ran for days, nights blurred together. Passengers slept, woke, slept again, measuring progress by meals and light rather than clocks. Somewhere along the line, everyone forgot exactly which day it was, and that was perfectly acceptable. I think about that as I stare into the dark beyond the glass. There's nothing to see now but motion, a suggestion of ground, a suggestion of trees, shapes without names. My reflection has faded. The window belongs to the night again. Across the aisle, the bundled passenger has shifted into a new sleeping position, one that looks marginally more comfortable than the last. A scarf has slipped, revealing the edge of a cheek, pink with warmth. Their breathing is steady, reliable, good. The train rocks gently through another curve, and I feel it in my bones before I hear it. My body sways with the motion, like it's been doing this its whole life. Maybe it has. I think about the people who built these rails, laying track through frozen ground, measuring distances that must have felt impossible at the time. How many nights did they spend exactly like this, wrapped in coats, staring into darkness, trusting that the path forward existed even when they couldn't see it yet? That thought settles somewhere deep and comforting. The lamp flickers just once, not enough to worry me, just enough to remind me it's real. Shadows shift slightly, then return to their places. Nothing dramatic. I yawn, quietly, carefully. the way you do when you don't want to disturb anyone, even though everyone else is asleep. My eyes drift closed again, then open, then close once more. Sleep is nearby, not rushing, waiting. I let my breathing slow again, sinking with the train like before. In, clack. Out, hush. In, clack. Out, hush. The rails answer back faithfully, mile after mile. And somewhere in the long middle of this night, with no stations in sight, no names to remember, no destinations to announce, I feel completely certain of one thing. The train knows where it's going. So I don't have to. I let that thought carry me, gently, deeper into rest, as the night stretches on, wide and quiet, and endlessly patient. I surface again, just a little, not fully awake, just aware enough to notice the sound beneath everything else. The engine. It has a breath of its own, a deep, steady inhale, followed by a patient release. Not loud, not demanding, just present, like a large animal that has learned how to be gentle. I don't remember when I started noticing that sound. It might have been there the whole time. Or maybe my mind finally grew quiet enough to hear it. Either way, it feels reassuring. The train moves forward through the night with a confidence that doesn't need explanation. It doesn't hesitate. It doesn't rush. It simply continues, mile after mile, through snow and dark and places with no names I could pronounce even if I tried. I shift slightly in my seat. The fabric sighs. The wood creaks in approval. My body settles again, heavier now, like it's decided this is where it belongs for a while. Outside the window, the darkness has softened even more. The snow reflects just enough starlight to give the night a shape. Not detail, just shape. I think about how this part of Siberia has heard this sound for generations. Steam engines once, louder, rougher, announcing themselves boldly, then diesel, smoother, steadier, different voices, same promise, movement, connection, a line through the wilderness that says, "You're not alone out here." That thought drifts through me slowly, then dissolves. I notice the lamp again, still burning, still loyal. Its flame barely moves, protected from drafts by thick glass and good design. Someone cared enough to make it dependable. I appreciate that. My eyes close, open, close again. Thoughts wander in loose circles now, not ideas, just impressions. Warmth, weight, motion. The bundled passenger across the aisle stirs once, murmurs something unintelligible, then sinks back into silence. Whatever they were dreaming about must have resolved itself. Good for them. The engine breathes, the wheels answer. The night holds everything else. I feel myself drifting again, deeper this time, sinking past the edges of thought into something softer, the kind of rest that doesn't ask questions. I let go. The train continues on without me noticing each moment, carrying me forward, faithfully, patiently, and I follow, half asleep, half listening, content to be exactly where I am, doing absolutely nothing at all. At some point, I'm standing somewhere else. I know this because the train has gone quiet, or maybe I have. The sound fades the way fog does, not all at once. Just enough that I notice the absence before I notice anything new. I'm on a platform, not the same one from before. This one feels longer, stretching off into darkness in both directions. Wooden boards beneath my boots, dusted lightly with snow that hasn't decided whether to stay or melt. A single lamp hangs above, swaying ever so slightly, though there's no wind I can feel. I don't remember getting off the train. That seems normal. Dream logic is very forgiving about transitions. The air is cold, clean, sharp enough to wake you up if it wanted to. But it doesn't. It just exists. I breathe it in and feel it settle in my chest like a promise that nothing urgent is happening. There's no one else on the platform, no announcements, no clocks, just the hum of distance, the kind you only hear when there's nothing nearby to interrupt it. I take a few steps forward, my boots making that soft, hollow sound against the wood. Each step feels deliberate, heavy, like gravity has decided to pay closer attention to me here. I stop walking, not because I've reached anything, just because standing still feels correct. I look down at my hands, half expecting them to look different somehow. They don't. Same hands, same weight, same familiar stillness. The lamp above flickers once, then steadies. Its light pools around my feet, warm against the cold boards. Beyond that pool, everything dissolves into shadow. I think about how many people must have stood on platforms like this, waiting, wondering, holding tickets they folded and unfolded until the paper went soft. Platforms are strange places. They're built entirely for in-between moments, not arrivals, not departures, just waiting. That thought sinks in slowly, heavy and calm. The stillness here has weight. It presses gently against my shoulders, not uncomfortable, just noticeable. Like a thick blanket you don't realize is heavy until you stop moving. I hear something then. Not footsteps, not voices. The train. Distant now. Far enough away that it sounds like memory instead of machinery. A low vibration through the ground. Faint. Steady. Reassuring. I realize I'm not worried about missing it. I know it will come back. Or maybe I'll go to it. Either way feels acceptable. The platform begins to blur at the edges, the lamp stretching slightly, the shadows growing soft and indistinct. The weight of the stillness deepens, and with it, the sense that I don't need to do anything at all. I don't need to move. I don't need to decide. I don't need to wake up. The sound of the train grows closer, or maybe I'm drifting back toward it. The platform fades, the lamp dims, and the dream releases me. Gently, without ceremony, handing me back to warmth, to motion, to the quiet, breathing body of the train as it carries me on, through the endless night, toward wherever morning happens to be waiting. When I wake again, it isn't sudden. Nothing pulls me up out of sleep. I simply arrive. The first thing I notice is light. Not bright. Not morning sun dramatic. Just a thin, pale suggestion slipping in through the frost at the edge of the window. A quieter kind of light. The sort that doesn't wake you so much as ask permission. The train is still moving. Of course it is. Its rhythm hasn't changed, but it feels softer now, like it knows the night is loosening its grip. The engine breathes a little more evenly. The wheels sound less secretive. I don't open my eyes right away. I listen first. There's a new sound in the carriage. Subtle, easy to miss. Someone shifting with purpose instead of sleep. Fabric moving with intention. The careful clink of a cup being set down without spilling. Morning behavior. Outside, the snow has stopped falling. The world feels paused, as if it's waiting to see what kind of day it wants to be. The frost on the window has changed shape again, retreating slightly where the glass has warmed. I finally open my eyes. The forest is back, still endless, still patient, but now touched with color. Blues and grays instead of black. The faintest hint of pink low on the horizon, like the sky is remembering something kind. My reflection is gone again. The window belongs to the outside world now. Across the aisle, the bundled passenger is awake. They sit very still, staring forward, hands wrapped around something warm. Steam rises and disappears. They don't look at me. I don't look at them. We share the moment without acknowledging it. Historically, mornings on long trains were strange things. People woke up in places they didn't recognize, wearing the same clothes they'd slept in, unsure which town they were near or which version of themselves they were carrying into the day. I feel that now, but gently. No confusion, just openness. The lamp is dimmer than it was before. Its light no longer necessary. Daylight is doing some of the work now. The shadows have softened, stretched thin. I shift my shoulders, roll my neck once, feeling the pleasant stiffness of long rest. My hands feel warmer, heavier, like they belong to me again. Outside, a lone bird lifts from a branch and disappears into the trees. I almost miss it. The train continues on, not announcing morning, not celebrating it, just allowing it to happen. I take a slow breath. In, clack. Out, hush. Some things don't change, and I find, quietly, that I'm glad for that. The day will come when it's ready. Until then, I stay right here, riding the last soft moments of night, watching Siberia wake up, one pale color at a time. There's a moment after waking, before the day fully decides what it's going to be, that always feels borrowed. That's where I am now, awake, but not in a hurry. The train is still moving beneath me, steady and calm, the rails humming softly like they always have. Outside the window, the forest holds its shape in the pale morning light. Snow rests on branches with careful balance, as if it took all night to decide where to land. Nothing feels unfinished. That's important. I sit very still, letting the last bits of sleep drain away on their own. My thoughts are slow, padded, unsharp. They don't tug at me. They just pass through, polite and quiet. Across the aisle, the bundled passenger is awake too. They cradle a warm cup, staring forward, not at anything in particular. We don't acknowledge each other. We don't need to. This moment belongs to everyone and no one at the same time. The lamp beside me has nearly given up its glow. Daylight has taken over its job, and the shadows have thinned to soft edges. The carriage smells faintly of tea and old wood and something clean, like cold air that followed us in and decided to stay. I rest my hands in my lap. That's when I feel it. At first, it's so subtle I almost mistake it for the vibration of the train, a faint warmth, a gentle pressure, like something small clearing its throat, the stone. It sits quietly in my palm, exactly where it belongs, smooth and familiar. Then, it begins to hum. Not loudly, not urgently, just enough to be noticed. A low, steady vibration that spreads slowly, carefully, as if it doesn't want to startle me. The hum settles into my hand, then into my chest, matching my breathing until I can't tell where one ends and the other begins. The stone grows warm, then warmer. A soft glow blooms beneath my fingers, dim at first, then brighter, like moonlight filtered through fog. The light isn't harsh. It doesn't demand attention. It simply exists, patient, waiting. I glance around the carriage. Nothing has changed. The train keeps moving. The forest slides past the window. No one looks my way. That's how it always is. The stone hums a little more insistently now, the glow pulsing gently, like it's reminding me of something we both already know. This journey is done. I close my fingers around the stone, letting the warmth sink deeper. The hum rises slightly, still calm, still kind. The world begins to soften at the edges. The sound of the train fades first, stretching into a long, distant echo. The light fills my vision, not blinding, just complete. The last thing I feel is the gentle certainty of motion, not forward, not backward, but elsewhere. And then, the train is gone, the snow is gone. The morning releases me, and I drift quietly into the next sleepy adventure, wherever it's decided to take me this time.